continue our discussion. So the architecture of the data warehouse, what you're seeing right now, is a closed architecture where all the technical components belongs to one company. To understand how this can be a problem, let's take an analogy. Let's say you have a song and you want to store it in a cassette. Assume this cassette belongs to a Sony company and can be played only by Sony player. Let's say Sony company puts these restrictions saying that you can only record 30 minutes of song within this cassette and you can play this cassette in Sony player only. So in a way they are saying that to play this cassette you have to store it in a Sony player only. So if you have a song and if you record that in a Sony cassette and you have to be playing that cassette using Sony player only. And also to play this song, you have to be storing it within the Sony player only. So you can't play this cassette independently using any other player. So in place of this song, assume you have a data. So you should be storing that in a particular file format only, which belongs to a company. In order to do analysis on top of that data, you should be using company provided processing engines only. So here in this case, it's Sony player. But how we expect ideal scenario to be like? So we have this cassette. You should be able to play it in any device. So it can be Sony, it can be Philips, or it can be Panasonic. You should be able to play this in any of these cassette players. You should be able to store it anywhere you like outside the player. We have this song recorded here, so there should not be any restriction that you should be storing this cassette within these players only. You should be able to store it anywhere you like. So if you compare this with the existing architecture, the song we have is the data. How we want to store that song is the cassette we are choosing or the file format. What kind of a cassette or what kind of a file format will decide how we are compressing this data and storing it. Finally, we have this cassette player which helps us to process that data. So with this analogy, hope you understood the problem we have with the current data architecture. So current data architecture for the data warehouse is a closed architecture and all of these components are tightly tied together. So we have this song, we store it in a file format. If I put the restriction, this can only be processed by a certain player, or if I put a restriction that I should be storing this in a particular file format, I will not be having any freedom to choose the file format or the cassette to store my data. So that is the restriction. So ideal thing should be, so if we have the data, I should be able to go and choose the file format or a cassette. Today it can be a cassette which is given by Sony company. Today it can be Panasonic company or Oneda company. I should be able to choose this cassette. So how I choose this cassette? So Sony company gives me a privilege of storing 100 songs. So I will be going with the Sony company cassette. Tomorrow if Panasonic company comes and say you will be able to store 20,000 songs with a less cost, I'll be going and choosing the Panasonic company's cassette. So the file format determines how we are storing the data and how we are compressing and storing it. Based on my ease of use, I'll be going and storing the respective storage or the file format. And based on my budget, if I have the budget to use the Sony company's cassette player, I'll be going and buying it. If I have it for the Panasonic, I will go and buy that. And irrespective of what player I'm choosing, I should be able to go and analyze the data. I hope you are clear with this. I hope you got the problem we have with the data warehouse. So with this, I will close this lecture. So see you in the next one. Thank you.